Welcome, folks. A special edition, episode 197 of Two Chaps Many Cultures. A Two Chaps Many Cultures first, live on location from our network of literally thousands of international correspondents around the world. And this is actually a previous guest who's been on twice before. This is his third time. I think he's starting to become one of the staff. We have to cut him some checks. Stick around. We're going to be no, let's not do that. Stick around. We're going to be going to Italy in a minute. Cool. Yes, welcome back to Two Chaps Many Cultures, where too much culture is barely enough.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno, signore Parry. Come stai?
See, this is why I work with experts.
Don't call me that. So we're live on location. This is exciting. So we have the uplink truck on site, right? The satellite link is in place. We got the camera crew. We got the entire 200 staff on site. Brett, where are we going? Where's our correspondent today?
Well, we are going to this place. Let me just see if this works. Can you see that?
Oh, I can see this. What is this?
This is you might see the boot of Italy. Yeah. And then if you scroll in, we're going to go to just the inside of the hill here to Mandoria, Italy. And we will not try and explain where exactly that is. We're going to take it to somebody who's right there. Right there
in Puglia, in the
Puglia
state or district. He's going to explain that. It's Puglia. It's
Absolutely.
The heel of the boot of Italy, and I think we couldn't have found a better day for doing this episode live from Italy, because what is today, Brett? Today is Festa della Repubblica. It is the national holiday of Italy. The day when all of Italy commemorates the founding of its republic in 1946. So not only do we celebrate, and I think this Air Force squad, they have a name. I forgot what they're called, but I'm sure Antimo, our correspondent on site, knows what they're called. I heard it before, and I can't for the life of me think of what they're called. So we're going to have to ask our correspondent. Let's see if he's ready, if he's plugged in. Let's find out.
Can you hear me, guys? Hey, guys, directly from Manduria, your correspondent.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
I just emerged from a tomb here, so I'm a little rough. Hey, welcome, guys, and thank you for having me. Yes, today is La Festa della Repubblica Italiana. Our 75th year, we are a republic, and those were le frecce tricolore italiane.
Frecce tricolore. Grazie mille. So, Antimo, I have a question, a historic question. So, when I looked up today's holiday, of course, I would suspect all of Italy is honoring the day that the country said goodbye to the monarchy and sent Umberto off to Portugal. But there was an election held 75 years ago, a public vote, whether monarchy, yes, republic, yes, what do we want? And the area that your family's from and that you're from and where you are right now, the southern part of Italy, they were overwhelmingly pro-monarchy. So what is that like today in Italy? Do the southerners in Italy embrace the republic for what it has become?
Oh, yeah,
or is it
of course they have embraced it, but the reality is that we lag behind by many years of infrastructure and progress, regardless. So the South is always this entity that out there, somewhere south, that is part of the Republic of Italy, but we have some sentiments of still not truly, I guess, belonging because of the differences that we see in terms of, funds and whatnot. But it's a very complex Italian culture, Italian politics and government is very, very complex. Let's leave it at that. Because there are better things to talk about.
Because you just jumped out of a tomb. So how long?
I'm a little nervous. So you just go, don't step back, dude. Do not step back. Whatever you do.
I'm seeing where I'm going, because if I can fall into a very narrow one, but I can fall into a deep one and hurt myself. This is actually where I used to play as a kid, amazingly enough. I am on the archaeological site of Manduria, which is one of the biggest archaeological sites in Puglia. These grounds, this tomb, or better, this necropoli, is from the 2nd and 3rd century before Christ. Behind me, the ancient megalithic walls that protected the city of Manduria during the numerous invasions that we withheld over the centuries, because everybody wanted to conquer us through the centuries. So the 𝙏𝙬𝙤𝘾𝙪𝙡𝙪𝙧𝙚, the Ostrogoths, the Phoenicians, the Messapian, and we have also Taranto nearby, which is about half an hour away, which is a very big port that became very strategic, if you will, for commerce and routes to Venice around the boot of Italy. So, those were the main points of interest. But then during the medieval times too, we had lots of castles from Ferdinand II in this area. So when you come to visit, you would see a ancient land that really makes you shiver with, behind the spine, that sensation of saying, oh my God, this is old. It's not just 3-4 centuries old. We're talking about thousands of years old. And the walls in particular were built in a way that are also very unique. We have, I'm going to go closer so you can see it.
Yeah, watch your step, Antimo.
There are 2 walls, because we thought that by creating 2 canyons, the enemy, this is the first canyon, and then over there you see another piece of the wall and there is another canyon. Because the enemy would think that by passing one wall, they thought they had us, and instead they found another canyon. And so that's how why it was so tough to actually defeat us, but eventually we were defeated by Taranto. But I want to quickly tell you too that these tombs, and the area is very, very vast, they were only found for the first time in 1955. And when they did, they uncovered 1,200 of them. Just last week, there were works along the main route where you see the cars going by.
Yeah.
And they found other 10 or plus tombs. And unfortunately here, we just covered them up again. There is we don't understand the treasure we have. There is always so much controversy. There is so much money that needs to be spent to treat them. So archaeologists will come, take because wherever you dig, you found tombs and tombs and tombs. So my colleague, who was going to be with me, but she had a group to show the place, she is an archaeologist, and she said, these days, what we really need to find is the house, because we have lots of tombs, but we are yet to find the living quarter. We have a church that we found that is very old, but not the living quarters, and we know it exists.
So you said 200 years before Christ, or 300 years before Christ? Is that what I heard?
2nd and 3rd century before Christ. This is how old this land is.
So it was probably the original inhabitants came from ancient Greece, or where did the ancestors from this area
ancient Greece, the Greeks were here, but also remember Mesopotamia, when the parts of the east were joined and all. That's where the 𝙏𝙬𝙤𝙀, the Ostrogoths, the Phoenicians, and there is others that I don't remember how to pronounce in English, came to invade the coast of the southern Italy and Sicily, for instance. So we have a lot in common between Greece, Sicily, and southern Italy. But I want to show you, this is a tomb that you can see was found about a month ago. Still, you find the skeleton. And then what you find inside, depending if it's a man or a woman, that was buried, you find all of these repertoires that we keep in a different museum. Those are called trozzelle. If we was a woman, it was, you know, pottery with perfumes, jewelries, as you can see. If he was a man and he was a warrior, you would find some sort of arms and knives and whatnot. But we are truly one of the richest archaeological sites in all of Puglia. So these are all found in these tombs in 1955, and then they are kept at the local museum to that is only dedicated to this. So I printed this so to give you an idea of
That's
what
beautiful.
they find when you dig and find one of these guys.
Now, Antimo, I know that most tourists, especially from where the three of us live on a day-to-day regularly. I mean, you traveled home to your homeland, but you typically live in North America, like Brett and I do.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
when Europeans and North Americans think about travel to Italy and visiting historic sites, they think of Rome, the
Exactly.
Colosseum. They
Correct.
think of Pompeii and maybe
Correct.
Paestum, and then they think of the big museums in Firenze or in Milano, but they don't think of Puglia.
No, they go by the encyclopedia, right? They go by the art books, and they want to go there because they're so quoted and so mentioned. However, when you start leaving those major cities and you start going into the tiniest little villages, this is what you run into. You run into it constantly. Just Manduria, which has about 40,000 people, has 26 churches between Romanic and Gothic and Baroque churches. So
that sounds like a small town in the southeast, in the southeast of the U.S. I mean,
yeah. So yeah, you don't have to just follow the crowds of I understand when someone comes to Italy and wants to go to the major cities because it's on the bucket list. But when you have fallen in love with the feel of Italy, with the food, with the people, then by all means adventure to the south, because truly is like visiting a different country and a different culture.
So Brett, what are you showing us here?
No, I'm trying to bring up the photo. I had a photo of where is it?
We'll find it.
I got to find I got to find this photo that I just
I want to show you. I want to show you a tomb that is for a family, where there is babies. So this is. Let me see if I can pan down to this one, and if you can see it. But this tomb has four small spots and a big one in the center. And not only, I didn't tell you everything. When these tombs, the opening was not open. The opening was a huge lapid. We call it lapide, that then went onto the wall. So they were covered with a big piece of stone that has ended up on the wall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the necropoli, of course, had to be outside of the city. So the old city center is that way for me.
So they would bury their dead outside of the city walls.
Correct.
Right.
And if anybody listening today or later wants to have a full understanding of what this site is all about, on the 9th of June, I'm actually having 1 hour tour here with my friend, the archaeologist. We're actually spending half an hour here, and then we'll go to the wine museum that is nearby. And we're going to try and go also underneath the ancient cave that hosts the well where Plinium, the philosopher, came here and studied this phenomena that we have here of under the surface rivers that come from the hilltops of Puglia, and here we are almost at sea level, and they bring an incredible source of water that whether you add to the well or take away, the level stays the same. Why are you showing me doing handstands?
This is what you can do if you travel. If you go and visit with Antimo, he's going to show you how to do handstands. Look at this place. This is beautiful. This is great. This is great.
This is Monopoly. I was there last week.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the place that they named the board game after? No, I'm only
No,
kidding.
no, it has nothing to do with a board game.
Really? Oh, that's a shame.
Nothing
Now,
to do.
now,
Yeah.
now, Antimo, I'm curious. So, I mean, we're still, the world is still in recovery mode. The pandemic is far from being fully over. Many countries are still struggling to come to terms with what's going on with COVID. Italy was one of the countries in the early outbreak that was hit really, really, really hard. And hey, Sue, thanks for tuning in, Sue. And Italy also made grand strides in recovery and keeping the country safe. So we all know how tourism and how global travel has been impacted by this pandemic. So you hopped on a plane, you flew 9 time zones back to your homeland. Have you seen tourism, especially in your area or throughout Italy? Have you seen signs of a recovery, or are we still at the very cusp of it?
I've been here a month. And when I arrived, I will say it was the most grueling trip that I've ever taken in my life so far, in terms of all the procedure, all the non-easy to navigate processes, because they didn't know themselves the process, to be honest. But let's leave that at saying, hey, you gotta go, you want to get out, you want to get away. Yeah, just embrace that travel day. It's gonna be strange. And then when I got here and I went and even with being fully vaccinated and tested 3 times, I decided to, for my parents' safety, even if they were vaccinated, I isolated myself. And then I started to really travel an hour or 2 away from my hometown and went to some of the sites that typically are packed with Americans, especially. So, but I was delighted to actually hear a few Americans, and so maybe I've seen about a dozen Americans, and then the rest, lots of French and lots of Spanish. So there are definitely adventuring out. I actually saw a group of bikers that was an American company. So the thing is that it's happening right now. If people feel safe, if they're vaccinated, if they're coming to a town that is not very big. So this is what people need to understand. If you want to feel safe traveling between now and next year, the best thing you can do is to go to smaller places. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to advertise my company or anything, but do go with somebody that knows the culture and can really vet the people that you're going to interact with, so that your increased sense of safety is there for you to relax and enjoy the culture. It's not going to be experiential travel like we knew 2 years ago. We're going to get there, but it's going to be a little bit, more being careful. But if you do have those people and family that are, like, for instance, I want, when my first group arrives here at the beginning of September, I'm going to interact with everybody that I'm going to ask to do a test. So to make sure, even if they're vaccinated, that they are negative, and we can feel at our discretion whether we want to have a mask or not, whether we want to dine outside, all of those things that I'm following right now for my parents' safety.
So are the restaurants, are the sites that are of interest for travelers, whether it be beaches or restaurants or archaeological sites or museums and churches, are they open, or are they?
These archaeological sites opened today for the first time. Restaurants have been open since last Monday, using distance. They cannot dine just yet inside at the bar, at our bar, that is our cafe. When you typically go in for an espresso quickly, 5 minutes at the al bancone with your ceramic cup. Right now until next week, it's in a glass, in a paper cup. You can't stay inside. But then starting next week, all the regions that are white, they're calling white, yellow, and red, they can actually go inside. They can dine inside with using distance. And they're also talking about possibly in a couple of weeks letting go of the masks if they're vaccinated. Many places have, of course, the sanitization. And some places, like I've seen yesterday, I went to a grocery stores. They had the temperature machine at the beginning, at the entrance. So there are many things in place, but there is also, like everywhere else, those people that are so psychologically tired of it that you see them with the mask dropped or not with a mask. And so I think wherever you go, we're finding some of the same.
Yeah. I don't, and I want to get back. I know you're a humble guy, and we're not here. We're not an advertising show, but I mean, this is your living, right? And it's your passion. It's more than a business for you, right? And that's why, I think you're great. As Sue said, it's a good point, is that the opportunities now for people to find these hidden places that are small and intimate, and to really connect with locals and the culture is just wonderful. And who better to do it with somebody like you who knows the area and that kind of stuff. So we're not, I mean, obviously we're not here to sell. I mean, but if, we have the well, we got, that's the link. I'll link it in the comments as well, but
And Brett, you know why I gave you that? Because I truly believe that if anybody can swing it, this September is going to be the most magical time to visit. The most magical, because one, the tourists, the European tourists at the end of August are going back to work. School starts again. You're going to see very, very, very few tourists. So you can take in the landscape. You can take in those locals that you're going to interact with me. And so it's going to be very special, especially if it means that next year we can travel again. Because if we can travel again safely next year, it's going to be chaos, mayhem. There is so much pent-up energy about traveling that next year I'm having all kinds of requests. So
they're seeing it here in the US. I was listening to a show yesterday here in the US. I mean, there are places that are turning people away. So I can see that's just going to be next year when Europe opens up to that extent. I mean, it'll be crazy. So it's a great chance. I think so. Yeah.
So, Antimo, you said it's a September special, and that's important for those of you who are not too familiar with Italy. August is also the holiday month for most of Italians, Ferragosto, right? Or Ferragosto?
Ferragosto, sì.
Ferragosto, that's when all the Italians hit the beaches. So by the time your special is on, Italy will be back to work, and so will be a lot of other tourists. Now, where would you fly in? Is Rome still the place to fly in
for Puglia? Yeah, for Puglia, you most likely, depending on your route, you go either through Rome or through Milan. And then the airports, the two only airports in Puglia are Bari, B-A-R-I, or Brindisi. And Brindisi is the one that it's closest to me. It's about maybe 35-40 minutes. Bari is about an hour and a half.
Would you recommend taking the train from Milan or from Rome?
No. Because the train from Milan, while there are some high-speed trains these days that come to the south, it's going to take you a good 8-9 hours. Okay. And some people do enjoy the ride, but when you're coming off of a long flight, you don't want to get on a train. Trust me. Plus, some of the flights are really cheap. And if anybody wants, they can come earlier, stop a couple of days in Rome, acclimate, and then take a little flight that's like $139 to go to Brindisi.
Excellent. Now, Sue is asking, are any quarantine regulations for North American travelers coming in?
So for Europeans, right now, they're talking about a green pass, which means that if you're vaccinated and you are in the European system, you get this green pass in a couple of weeks. It's going to be an interesting challenge for me to show that I'm fully vaccinated with a card from the US, and if I qualify to get the pass. So next week, I'm going to Sardinia to vet a few places, and that will be my test. I have already talked to a bunch of places. I have what I need, but I will be showing my American vaccination card. And but they're also talking about really wanting Americans to come back and making it easy, because I mean, trust me, the economy here is on its knees. We depend so much on there's so many small families that used to own B&B and restaurants that are out of business.
So if we're showing our CDC issued vaccination card, will that suffice at the port of entry in Italy for the authorities to give you a pass, or is there in fact a requirement that you have to?
When I traveled, I had my vaccination, and because it was early May, I had to have a test, a rapid test done to access the plane in Portland or an international flight. When I got to Atlanta, I got a rapid test in Atlanta. When I landed in Rome, they gave me another rapid test in Rome. But now all of that, it's gone. It should be that you show the vaccine, because there is also a ton of people vaccinated here. They're now already vaccinated people in their 40s, and they're starting to also vaccinate teenagers 18 and older. So it's going to take a while in Italy to have everybody fully vaccinated, but it has increased quite a bit from since I've arrived. I'm going to go to here before you guys tell me to go bye-bye, because I want to show you this
Where are you
poster.
going? This looks beautiful.
Well, this is a cave. This is where the well is. And if I go down there, I will give away everything. I want people to sign in on the 9th. The 9th is actually a free, it's through a platform called 𝙏𝙬𝙤. People, if they want, they can leave me a tip, which is appreciated, because right now I have no income. But I want to show you the site.
Now we can't hear you, Antimo.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, now we can hear you again.
Okay.
Excellent.
So this is the entire site. I was over here. And you can see how this is the largest of the tombs. Those are all tombs.
Wow.
1,200 of them.
Mm.
And
Amazing.
that is scratching the surface. We suspect there is probably 3 times as many underneath the ground, because wherever they dig, they find more tombs, more tombs, more tombs.
Now, Janet is asking, do you need to have a vaccine in order to enter? So is it a requirement that you show full vaccination, or will it suffice to test negative?
The best is to actually go on the CDC and find out what Italy requirements are, or every country. I would suspect that now, especially because in the US there are a lot more vaccine available, that probably the requirement is to be vaccinated. Because if you're not, then it means that while you're here, you could actually potentially catch it. And then, right, you have to quarantine here.
You have to go and stay with
us. Kids still play here. There. Oh, I closed it. I shouldn't have closed it, I don't think. This is the symbol of Manduria.
I feel like I'm almost there.
The well and the crown.
The crown. What crown is this? The former royal crown?
Don't you love it? We still play in the piazza soccer.
Oh, yes.
No, this would probably represent the... This is how you're supposed to play still today, not on this damn technology games.
Yes.
People, this is how you play.
That's called street soccer.
Look and learn to be a kid again.
Well, Antimo, you really watered my mouth. I knew this was going to be a challenge watching you and showing us your hometown. Look at these kids.
The little boy says, "Ciao a tutti."
Ciao.
Okay, back to the symbol of Manduria.
Beautiful.
It's fantastic.
So anyway.
So Antimo, just to wrap it up, you're gonna take people on a special for Puglia. It's gonna be September 13th through 26th. The link is in the chat box. The link is also coming up again here. I'm curious, what will people experience when they come to Puglia to join you on that trip?
They will experience the truest, most beautiful culture through the people. We'll be seeing some amazing things and towns, but mostly it's going in and out of the circle of friends and family that I have. and taking you to sites that are just remarkably beautiful, like the one on that webpage. That's Polignano a Mare. We're going to go to Monopoli. We're going to go to Conversano, Alberobello, probably Gallipoli, Lecce. There is so much to see. Even if you took 3 weeks, 3 weeks is not enough to see all of Puglia. Just to give you a sense of how much there is here to see. Amazing food and the most unbelievable wine.
Now, I know you're already
like mine.
You're already making our mouths water, so I'm curious, what would you say is the traditional signature dish of Puglia? What type of meal?
Well, homemade pasta, 𝙏𝙬𝙤 is definitely one of the most beautiful dishes, simple. You know, here we call it la cucina povera. But the thing is that here the earth is so fertile. The ground is so fertile that whatever veggie, whatever fruit you eat is just like something you've never experienced before. But mostly, you know, the olive oil here is amazing. The wine is amazing, and the fish. I mean, in 10 minutes by car, I am on the Ionic Sea. I'm gonna show you my Ferrari. I drive a Ferrari when I'm in Italy.
Of course you do.
I can choose between a Lamborghini and a Ferrari, but my dad has a Ferrari. So this is my dad's Ferrari.
Nice.
Sorry, it's a Fiat.
Panda.
It's a tiny little car. La Panda.
Love it.
La Panda.
Tiny little car.
La Panda, yeah.
Excellent.
Will that be the mode of transport, Antimo? Will that be where you're going to take people traveling in the Panda? In your Panda?
No, hopefully I will have a van, depending on how big the group is. But typically, I like to have 4-6 people total. So, yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Well,
anyway, here we are.
I'm already packing.
Thank you so much for having me again. There you go.
Thank you, Antimo, for giving us a taste of international travel life again. It's been too long for most of us. So, enjoy your time. Stay safe.
Yeah.
And those of you who want to join Antimo for a September trip to Puglia, the link is on. So first come, first serve, and you might have to fight me for a seat. So.
And if not, follow me. Yeah. And if not, follow me on Facebook, because I have almost weekly free virtual tours, pretty much like this, where you'll see where I'm going, and I'll give you a lot of pointers and answer a lot of questions.
Beautiful.
Okay?
Grazie mille.
Thank you.
A presto.
Ciao a tutti. Prego.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, grazie. Bye.
All right, folks.
Go.
3 chaps and 1 specific culture today on 2 chaps, many cultures. First time with an on-site Antimo, our correspondent in southern Italy. If you're not ready for global travel again, then I don't know. I can't help you. Get your vaccines, people. Make sure you're safe, and pack your suitcases. With that, Brett, any other final thoughts?
That'll do me. I'm happy. That's great. That's really got me inspired. Thanks very much, guys. Thank you very much, Antimo. Grazie mille.
Ciao, arrivederci.
Ciao.
Mm-hmm.